At January 20th, the Bryansk Oblast, an expanse of frozen forests and marshland along Russia's western edge, lies buried under the silence of winter. The temperature is far below freezing. Snow weighs down the pine trees. To a soldier standing guard on the perimeter, the night feels empty. No sirens, no explosions. No warning. Nothing suggests that anything is about to happen. But 300 miles above the Earth, a different truth is unfolding. A commercial imaging satellite glides silently through low Earth orbit, collecting data strip by strip. It isn't searching for light, it's searching for heat. And deep inside a restricted missile facility, hidden beneath the forest canopy, the ground begins to glow. Thermal sensors record a sudden surge, nearly 3 times the normal baseline. To an untrained observer, it could be dismissed as a heating system under strain. To Ukrainian intelligence analysts watching live feeds from Kyiv, it signals something far more dangerous. Engines are running, hydraulics are pressurized, electronics are awake. This base is not preparing to move. It is not conducting an exercise. It is entering final assembly. It indicates continuous, high-load industrial operations. It indicates engines running, hydraulics pumping, and electronics warming up. The base is not preparing to relocate. It is not running a drill. It is completing final assembly. The target hidden in those woods is an Iskander-M battery. This is not just a weapon, it is a nightmare. Each launcher carries a solid-fuel ballistic missile capable of carrying a nuclear warhead, designed to bypass every known air defense system and strike within minutes. A single launcher package is valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. Russia has forward deployed this battery not just to fight, but to deter. It is a symbol of invincibility. It is a message to the West. But the moment the Iskander fails, whether intercepted in the air or destroyed on the ground, that credibility collapses. And tonight, the credibility of the Russian Federation is about to be put to the test. In a fortified command bunker in Kyiv, the air is thick with tension. The Ukrainian command confirms the target is within effective strike range. Persistent intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance provides near-meter accuracy. They know exactly which hangar holds the command vehicle. They know where the fuel trucks are parked. The finger hovers over the launch button. The strike package is airborne. But the order comes down from the top. Hold. The room goes quiet. At this stage, only 5 Iskander-M launchers are confirmed on site. A strike now would be a tactical victory. It would destroy exposed equipment, burning millions of dollars of Russian hardware. But it would leave the vast majority of the system, the spares, the reload vehicles, the specialized command modules, intact in the bunkers. Partial destruction is strategically unacceptable. A fully assembled Iskander battery represents over a year of coordinated manufacturing. It requires specialized microchips, guidance fins, and solid fuel composites that are heavily constrained by international sanctions. Ukraine doesn't want to damage a unit, they want to erase a production cycle. But the commander knows the risk. His hand shakes slightly as he pulls it back from the console. If the convoy disperses in the next hour, the target vanishes back into the deep forest, perhaps forever. To wait is to gamble with the war. They are playing a dangerous game. They are waiting for the trap to fill. It is no longer a contest of firepower. It is a contest of timing. At 2:30 a.m., the pattern shifts decisively. On the satellite feeds, the movement stops. Within hours, the trap has snapped shut. All 12 Iskander-M launchers, along with their command vehicles, power modules, and support loaders, are pulled into a single operational zone. The entire formation, usually dispersed over miles to avoid detection, is compressed into an area less than 700 meters across. Thermal indicators show the site has crossed an internal explosive threshold. The amount of solid rocket fuel concentrated in this one spot is equivalent to nearly 1,000 tons of TNT. The base has crossed the point of no return. Hardened blast doors are shut and sealed. Ventilation systems are running at maximum output to keep the electronics cool. Emergency response vehicles are repositioned closer to the underground structures. These are not defensive preparations, they are markers of final assembly. The system is coming online. For Ukrainian planners, the target has transformed. It is no longer a group of vehicles, it has become a single integrated organism. The launchers, the fuel, the warheads, they are now connected. If one element fails, the ignition will cascade. Containment will be impossible. The target is locked. At 3:13 a.m., the plan transitions from idea to execution. Ukraine does not launch a massive armada. There are no waves of heavy bombers darkening the sky. The strike force is surgically small. It consists of only 2 manned aircraft operating at the edge of their range, supported by 18 long-range drones. That is the entire task force. The economic imbalance is deliberate. Ukraine is risking assets valued at a tiny fraction of the cost against a target worth billions. The fighters never cross into hostile airspace. They patrol on the safe side of the border, waiting for the signal. The drones are intentionally unsophisticated. They are simple, expendable, and designed for one thing: saturation. Their role isn't to kill the target. Their role is to die. They are the pawns sent forward to force the king to reveal his position. The operation depends on a sequence of events where every second counts. At 3:40 a.m., the opening move is triggered. From deep within Ukrainian airspace, the lead aircraft releases 4 ADM-160 MALDJ decoys. These are small, winged missiles, but they carry no warhead. Instead, they carry a powerful electronic warfare payload. They activate flight profiles mimicking the radar signature of a massive strike formation: heavy bombers, fighter jets, cruise missiles. Russian early warning radars light up instantly. Inside the Russian Air Defense Command Center, the screens turn red. Less than 2 minutes later, the S-400 network begins tracking over 40 separate aerial contacts. The radar returns suggest a massive NATO-style air raid coming in at high altitude. The Russians take the bait. Fire control radars lock in. The system logic takes over. Launch authorization is automatic. Between 3:50 and 4 a.m., the night sky over Bryansk is torn apart. 10 S-400 interceptor missiles launch in rapid sequence. These are massive, hypersonic killers, trailing fire as they scream into the upper atmosphere. Each interceptor costs millions. None of them strike an actual aircraft. They detonate against ghosts, blowing holes in the empty air. Then, silence. The radar screen's clear. There is no debris, there is no wreckage, just the empty, mocking static of a clear sky. With the interceptors expended, the battery enters a mandatory reload cycle. This is not a quick process. It requires cranes, heavy trucks, and manual labor. It will take the better part of an hour. For the next 50 minutes, the region's most expensive air defense network is fully active in form, but functionally blind. The tubes are empty. And while their eyes are fixed on the upper layer, the real threat creeps in below 140 feet. At 4:07 a.m., the engagement shifts to the inner defensive ring. 14 of the 18 drones enter the final approach corridor, flying at treetop level. They are flying so low they are skimming the pine branches. They are well below the effective detection envelope of the long-range radars. The short-range defense, Panzer S-1 and Tor M2 units, reacts instantly, but they are overwhelmed. A Panzer is designed to track 3 or 4 targets. Suddenly, it is facing a wall of 12. The impact on the human operators is immediate. Imagine trying to play a video game where the speed suddenly triples. Sensor refresh rates slip. The reaction time of the crew slows by nearly half as panic sets in. Engagement windows collapse to barely a few seconds per drone. The fire intensity is manic. Panzer cannons operate at sustained rates, expending thousands of rounds per minute. The barrels glow cherry red. The air is filled with the roar of 30mm cannons. Thermal imagery shows the systems running continuously. with processor utilization spiking to critical levels. Reload teams are pushed forward while live engagements are still in progress, breaking every safety protocol in the book. But it isn't enough. At that point, no redundancy remains. A system at its physical limit cannot adapt. The defense is saturated. The door is open. At 4:14 a.m., the decisive phase begins. While the Russian inner defenses are fighting for their lives against cheap drones, the F-16s release the hammer. 6 AGM-158 JASSM missiles separate from the wings. They drop, their turbofans igniting with a smokeless hum. They descend immediately to altitudes just above the ground, following preloaded digital terrain profiles. They hug the valleys. They hide behind the hills. At that height, radar detection probability drops to near zero. The missiles do not rely on GPS, which the Russians are jamming. They use inertial navigation systems, updating their position hundreds of times a second. Imaging infrared seekers match live thermal data against the stored facility signatures. They see the target building. Even wide-spectrum electronic jamming cannot corrupt the guidance. The missile knows where it is, and it knows where it is going. They are not programmed to strike the hardened blast doors. That would be brute force. Instead, they aim for structural vulnerabilities. Prior analysis has mapped the ventilation shafts and pressure relief corridors, the lungs of the bunker, where the concrete thickness drops dangerously low. Impact velocity exceeds near supersonic speeds. The missiles slam into the facility. Penetration occurs before detonation. Delay fuses initiate explosions deep inside the enclosed volumes. At 4:22 a.m., what follows is no longer governed by pilots or weapons. It is governed by physics. Inside the sealed complex, packed with energized solid fuel, the internal containment margins are breached. This is the nightmare scenario for any missile base. Unlike liquid fuel, solid rocket fuel requires no external oxygen. It contains its own oxidizer. Once ignition starts, it cannot be suffocated. It burns until it is gone. Combustion accelerates instantly. Temperatures surge to thousands of degrees. Internal pressure exceeds structural tolerance in the blink of an eye. The bunker ceases to be a building. It becomes a failed pressure vessel, a submarine hull crushed at maximum depth, unable to contain the forces raging inside. Sensors record near-simultaneous failure across multiple load-bearing points. Steel blast doors weighing several tons are ripped from their hinges and forced outward, traveling hundreds of meters before impacting the forest floor. The primary bunker roof collapses inward. Secondary ignitions propagate through adjacent storage bays. A thermal plume climbs nearly a kilometer into the sky, clearly visible to civilian infrared satellites passing overhead. Seismic stations in the region register ground motion equivalent to an artificial earthquake. This confirms a chain reaction, not a single blast. The base is eating itself. Two mobile launcher vehicles attempt an emergency evacuation. Their crews sprint to the cabs, engines roaring to life, but they are too slow. Follow-on strikes trigger additional detonations among exposed assets. The vehicles are caught in the blast wave. Vehicle debris is scattered across a radius exceeding hundreds of meters, rendering recovery impossible. Follow-on strikes trigger secondary detonations across the site. Exposed vehicles are swallowed by overlapping blast waves, their remains scattered hundreds of meters outward. By sunrise, the location no longer functions as a military base. It is a crater. Post-strike assessments confirm the complete destruction of all 12 Iskander-M launchers, along with their command vehicles and calibration systems. More than a year of tightly coordinated production is erased in minutes. Under current sanctions, none of it can be replaced quickly. This is not a setback. It is a structural loss. The financial damage runs into the billions, but the strategic cost is far greater. The Iskander-M was designed as a deterrent, built on secrecy, concentration, and the promise of rapid first-strike capability. That promise collapsed in a single night. The system was destroyed before it could ever be used, neutralized on the ground, not intercepted in the air. This strike reveals a hard truth about modern warfare. The most dangerous moment is not when a weapon is launched, but when it is allowed to finish being assembled. Ukraine waited. They chose timing over speed, and that patience proved deadlier than any warhead. One of Russia's most expensive military systems vanished without warning, before it ever knew it was under attack. Now I want your take. What mattered most here? The deception that blinded defenses, the timing that trapped the system at full assembly, or the precision of the final strike? Let me know in the comments, and if you want more grounded, cinematic breakdowns of modern warfare, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.